Wow. So I love that we're in a room full of students because I know for a fact that you didn't have the most traditional like theater education. So I heard basically that you started theater camp because they were tired of you acting up in class.
Yeah, I was just, hello everyone. I was a bit of a troublesome. Are we allowed to swear?
Okay.
Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, I think
I was
so.
a shit, baby. and they said like, let him get out some energy. And then I was 9 when a teacher said that to my mum. Then I joined this waiting list for this like after school improv class, and it took 4 years for me to get into it. So yeah, I got into it at 13.
Yeah, so by the time you got in the improv class, though, that was after your first script, because first script was from like a spinoff of the show All That. You were doing Key and Kel.
Yeah, Keenan and Kel. I wrote a play based on Keenan and Kel at 9 years old, and it got performed at Hampstead Theatre. And they had all these TV actors from like these sitcoms, like kid sitcoms. I was like, oh my God, like my whole school came. I was like, yeah, I'm the man. You know? Watching my words and that, you know what I mean? But yeah, I did that. So that was a really pivotal experience because it was like probably the first, I was like, oh, I can do something. I have this ability to do something. It was really, but the reason why I did it was again, because I think the teacher just tried to, she tried to shame me in front of everyone. She did shame me in front of everyone. I was like, listen, I'm not an idiot. Like, I can do it. Because I wasn't doing work, and I was like, I can do work. I'll do it. But, yeah, that's why.
Yeah, no, I love that because I think so many in this audience, they were probably acting out their own plays at like age 7 in the backyard. And then it's inspirational to see that you take that into this amazing career from everything from Get Out to Widows and Sicario and Black Panther. Like, it's nuts because you're still in your 20s. It's so Oscar.
No, I'm not in my 20s anymore. I can't say that. I wish I could say that.
Not even. I said when you did it, though, you were still in your 20s.
Yeah, I was in my 20s,
yeah. But let's start with maybe like when American audiences probably caught on, because like hopefully they at least saw you in Sicario, but maybe not. But I'm hoping
they didn't.
They really didn't.
That one's twigged that I'm the same guy. Like when I say it means, because yeah, I did Sicario. Like, did you? I don't even know.
That just means you're a transformative actor. That's all that is. And so I'm more talking about the folks that maybe saw you in Black Mirror before it went to Netflix. I'm talking about like 2011 Black Mirror. Now, I want to talk about that episode because 50 Million Credits was just, I think, such ahead of its time in the fact that it commented on now like influencer culture, and just this idea of an offtake of American Idol is now like the same with like likes on Instagram. And so what does it feel like seeing its evolution? Because you've had like a lot of rides with that show from when it first came out to now.
It's that's the strangest. It's just, I'll give you an example how strange that show was for me. Because it started, I think 2014, 2015, it started becoming a thing in America. So they got me to go to photo shoots, and I was like, all right. And I did about this job that I did 3 years ago for 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll go. And Mayweather-Pacquiao, the fight was happening. So I was like, I'm staying in New York. I was in New York, I'm staying in New York. So I was sleeping on my friend's sofa, yeah, in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy. Is it Bed-Stuy? Yeah, Bed-Stuy. So I was sleeping there, and then like a roommate comes in and goes, are you in Black Mirror? I was like, what do you know about Black Mirror? What's going on about Black Mirror? What do you mean? And then like she showed us like, I think this paper must be New York Times something. It was talking about it, and I was literally just sleeping on her sofa. Like she was just like, what are you doing? Like what's happening? I was like, I don't know. It's just it's so strange because usually in TV it comes out and then it goes away 2 weeks later. And Black Mirror has kind of been like a film where like new audiences arrive into it, and it grows and grows and grows and grows. So with every season, there's a new wave of people watching the first season again. So you feel that new energy towards it, and it's a strange ride, and that's what it is like. I think a lot of times, I mean, it reminds me of that book Tipping Point, like because it's the same performance. I was there, but the culture had to change. Like everything had to shift for people to understand what we were doing, and so it was like you were ahead of the curve, and And I thought that way, but it really helps sometimes when I feel like I believe something and not a lot of people get it. And I was like, maybe they're not supposed to yet. And I'm just in this space, you know what I mean?
I just wonder, is that one of the reasons why you shy away from social media? Because I feel like doing that in your career, I'd be like, I don't want to ever be on Instagram after that.
No, you know what it is? I just don't think everyone should contact you. Do you know what I mean? It's like anyone could just contact you, and it comes to your phone. It's like someone sends you a text. You don't know me. You don't know me. Like I just don't think you should. Like I barely text back to people that I know. Like what do you mean? Like I don't think you should. And I just think it's not good for your head. It's honestly not good for my head, and so I can't handle. I get overwhelmed, and you just get in a hole, and it's built to be addictive. So I go, nah, it's not for me. And then you end up, you know what it was? The killer. I used to have a Twitter. I used to be a beast on it, and then like I used to be mad. Like actually, I need to look into that like, to make sure they're all gone. But yeah, I used to go mad on Twitter, and then I realized that I was giving out a lot of ideas. Because essentially I'm creative, so I was like being creative with this form. And I was like, oh man, this is like a little sketch. Like, because we used to make sketches back in the day with my friends. This is a sketch, but I'm putting into 140 characters. If I sat on it, I could have formed the idea in a way that actually benefits the life of me and people around me. So I was just like, I don't know if it's, but obviously people are monetizing that, so that's different models. But I think for me, I just need to disappear. I don't think people should know me like that. To be honest.
That's a good way. Keep your ideas inside, and we'll get into more of that later because we want to see what you're going to write next. One of the roles you played recently, and this one is just absolutely insane, and that's Widows, because your character in that was so terrifying. It's such a different look from everything else you played, but you're like a legit villain in that. Like, it's scary. So talk about stepping into like your darker side for Widows.
For me, it was like two things. It was a very. I've never done that really in my career. I think I've done it once in a short film like years ago, and I'm always very fascinated about when you walk into a certain situation and you know someone's about that life. You know what I'm saying? Like you just in their eyes, you know. So you're like, and I'm like. I'm always like, what is that? Like, what is that? And then I was doing research for something I was doing, and I started meeting certain guys, and then I was doing something. Like, and I asked him, I go, what is that? And he was like saying it's when they've done something that they can never forgive themselves for, or they've betrayed themselves, so they hate themselves. And so they just have no regards. It just speaks to the relationship that me and you are connected. You know what I'm saying? So how I treat you is a mirror to how I treat myself. So that was like a way to start those conversations. But then I started understanding that the scariest thing about Je t'aime is like his attitude is that it's just nothing. So that it's a window to what he's actually done. So then what affects him? If he's just like, that's scary. Yeah. That you don't have to be scary. Those people are they just do it. When they do it and go, okay. And then they'll like text a girl after and be like, yeah, what are you up to? Yeah, no, nothing. I was at work. Or saying like they've just done something great. The audience are probably not even aware that it's a window to their experiences. And like you don't even know what they had to do at 8 or they had to do at 12, what they've been exposed to, and it's just so removed to the usual way of life. Do you know what I'm saying? And what he's had to do to survive, and also as well as like essentially I'm like an average height. I'm like not like tonks like so it's like it's a lot, but a lot of those guys aren't. And actually so where a lot of the one of the ideas, like the gym scene, the rapping scene.
I was just about to bring this up.
That was, all right, so Steve was like, all right, cool. He was like, scared the shit out of him. Yeah, he was like, scared the shit out of him. I was like, all right, cool. Then something popped up, and there's this thing from World Star Hip Hop back in the day, yeah? It's going to be niche. It's going to be niche references right now, yeah? PD Crack, was freestyling, So Rockefeller Records, right? PD Crack from Philly and that. He was in Young Guns. PD Crack was freestyling, and then Beanie Siegel was behind him. I'll never forget it. And he was just very close. He was just very close while he was rapping. And I just always remembered how weird that was. And then people forget that these people that are about this, they're very weird. They're weird people. They're like quirky. Like, if you're like, they're quirky. Like, so, and also it's just a lack of boundaries. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, they don't understand your space. Yeah. They don't understand it. It's my space. Your space is my space. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's if you have that attitude for the whole characters, everything is my space. That guy in the white shirt there, that's my space. That's how they think. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and it's having that attitude in how you move.
Yeah, that is so, I knew it was scary because you're right up front with him, and like 2 seconds before that you were talking about killing him, and you're like, but go ahead and rap. But the thing that was so crazy was that the camera was just like going around you guys and that, and it felt like you were getting almost dizzy with how uncomfortable it was. So I just want you to break down real quick filming that, because that's like technical to make that feel that anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because Steve said he wanted to make it feel like a record. So it's like a record.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it?
Like a record spinning, do you know what I'm saying? But also as well, he likes to rap. It's not like, that's what I'm trying to say, it was scary. He thinks they're talented. This is really, what you said? What? Yo, this guy, I still gonna kill you, but you're really good. Like, he's like, I wanna entertain me. Like, go on, I want it. Like you said, I heard you was good. And so, but filming that was, you get one of those moments sometimes it happens on set or in filming, and you're like, oh, this is a moment, in a sense that you have to be very focused because you don't feel like you have a lot of takes. And it's all working together, so you get very laser focused. And you have to feel the camera, but still make it authentic. But it's no point delivering. I made a mistake in that I'll learn from. But like, you have to.
That's being critical. What? You did not make a mistake.
No, I did this thing, and he said scare him, and then he's like, oh, play beat. I want to hear your music. I want to hear your music. And then he didn't know. I actually punched him in his belly. The beatbox guy. I actually punched him. But it was wasted because the camera couldn't see it. Do you know what I'm saying? I just did that. So I should have slapped him. Because then it would have had the impact. It had an emotional impact on him. Like, he was like, yo, did you just punch it? Like, I'm like, what were you going to do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then, but if I slapped him, you guys would have appreciated it more. It's my thinking. But that's just cinema. That's just like, I needed to do that to learn that. Like, just because it feels authentic doesn't mean you're doing it for something. But yeah, you had to kind of, so I knew you had to understand when I have to go back. I didn't want to show any of the gun. I don't want you to feel like it's a different gesture. So I had to pull the gun in a way that you don't understand what's about to happen. Because it's never about the note you play, it's always about the note before. And it's the conflict and the drama within the two notes. Do you know what I'm saying? In music, like, that's how I see it. So if you think a gunshot's coming and I'm being angry before it, it's not going to be as impactful because there's no conflict. If I'm angry and I shoot you, of course, do you know what I'm saying? But if you're like, if I'm just chill, I'm like, bro, like, just a bang. Then it's like, what? And it's that Hitchcock thing. It's like you don't fear the bang. Does anyone know the Hitchcock quote? It's not about it's not about the fear of the bang. It's the anticipation of it.
Yeah, the anticipation of the shot.
So if a bang's coming and you anticipate it, do you know what I'm saying? But if you don't know it's coming, then it's a bang. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what I try and do is kind of like, you don't know that you're anticipating anything, but you do, but you just don't know when it's gonna come. So then it's able to be a bang.
Yeah, no, I watched that for the first time at TIFF with that audience, and literally I remember when that shot happened, like you saw the audience like jump, like it was like a legit thing. And just go ahead and say, can we have the Daniel like acting class? Because that was the most like intense way to break down that scene that I've ever seen, and I think everyone here would like love to sign up to your masterclass. So I don't know if anybody wants to make that happen. That was just
I'm making it up, that's it. You pay $100 and I'm saying I'm making it up as I go along.
That was such fire. I mean, and maybe you're a product of your environment too, because I think you've been blessed to work with some of the great auteurs, like from Denny and Jordan and Steve McQueen, and it's incredible. And of course, Ryan Coogler. Like, I think like with those three, Ryan Coogler, Steven, Ryan Coogler, Steven, and Jordan. That's 2 of the 5 directors that have been nominated for Best Director, and 3 of the 8 that have directed a film that was nominated for Best Picture. So like, that's insane, like that you've worked with them already. But I was wondering if maybe you could compare those 3 directors in particular, because you did like such different things for each one of them, but they all, I think, probably taught you something that you were able to apply to later work.
Steve he sees it as jazz. So he kind of goes, I set the boundaries and you just do what you want within it. And so one of the things I always take away with Steve when he said to me, like, I asked him about how I should play something, he said, I don't know, surprise me, surprise yourself. And that's always how he articulated how I approach things. When I'm in the scene, I want to surprise myself. I don't know what I'm going to do, but you shouldn't. I didn't know how I was going to answer this question. So how am I supposed to know how I'm going to play a scene? I should just be in it and go film. That's what feels right. Well, that's what it is then. The script says cry, but I don't feel like crying though. So maybe that's more interesting. Do you know what I'm saying? If I can't cry, like, then you got to do that Vicks mental and sort it out. Do you know what I'm saying? But so I think that it was that, and then Ryan is Ryan is just a communicate. He's a genius at communicating. He is so. He is like. People don't realize what that guy. He's on another planet, man. He's like genuinely. He's like when I worked with him, he was 30. He's like, I don't know what like to go from Fruitvale to Creed and then Black Panther. Who does that? Like, who does that? It's like. Before 30, when you're 30, like he's done like it's wild. There's shots in Creed that are actually wild. Like it has no right being in a like do you know what I'm saying? There's like and it makes it accessible. So he's and with Black Panther he had so many ideas and thoughts, and he's able to curate it in an instant. And then understand how to push you, understand your process. He doesn't have to ask you what your process is. He'll figure it out. He's kind of like Mayweather. Ryan Coogler's like Floyd Mayweather. Wow. He figures you out, and then he does that. And then he's able to do, but he does that with everyone. That's actually, I've only just realized that, yeah. But boxing style, I don't know about Floyd Mayweather as a person, I don't know. But, and then Jordan's like, he knows what he wants the audience to feel. He cares about the audience so much. It's funny because I watched Get Out when it came out. It was on my birthday, and then I went to some hood cinema in Atlanta. Like, it was mad. Loved it. Like, and there was stuff that they were saying that he said verbatim, that he said on set, that they're gonna say this. And I was in that cinema, and they said that at that exact point. He's doing it for people. Do you know what I'm saying? And he is like, every time I'll be sitting down sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know. I just sit down. I was like, man, Jordan was like, Get Out's amazing. I sit down like, I'll go, whew. The stuff he did in that, you're like, boy, he killed that. Like I think about certain shots, certain decisions, certain character stuff, and I'm like, whew. He's really intelligent. They're all very deeply intelligent people and love cinema, and they want the audience to have a great experience.
I mean, it shows. I mean, the proof is in just how incredible their work is. But I'm gonna bring up Black Panther and Get Out together because you had like a very interesting couple of weeks, the very first part of 2018. So I'm gonna break this down for everyone. So on January 23rd, you get nominated for an Oscar for Get Out. On the 29th, you go to Hollywood for the Black Panther premiere, and like Black Hollywood completely shows up for that, and it's amazing. 2 weeks later, it premieres before it goes on to be $1.3 billion and the highest grossing movie of the year that year. Yeah, and then on February 18th, you win the BAFTA Rising Star Award. And that's just like a nuts few weeks, I think, for anyone. And then that was just kind of how like you kicked off 2018. So I want to talk about that time and just how nuts that would be to be like on an Oscar run, also while you have like the biggest movie on the planet.
Put it like that. I was thinking, I didn't know how I survived is because I didn't see it like that. It was, it's crazy. Funny thing, I went the day after the BAFTAs, and obviously Black Panther come out, I went to a Kendrick show in London. I went to a Kendrick show, and I was like, yeah, no, I could just go to a Kendrick show. It's like, bro, it was mad. It was mad. Like, that was like one of them, I was like, oh, man, this is, I didn't know if it was permanent, but I was like, my life's kind of changed. Yeah, it was a mad period of time, but I don't know, I really do this for the work, so it's nice. It's very nice to get recognized and to reach people, and it connects people, but it's what we do it for. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's cool, and then it's like, cool, and just remind yourself what your job is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I still need to do what I need to do. Like going back to London, because I'm like properly born and bred London. So going back to London during that time was crazy. Like it was very like, because I'd gone away, did this campaign, then like I come back, like I'll nominate for Oscar, I come back Black Panther, and it was like, Daniel? I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, so it was a mad period. I probably need a couple years away from it to understand it.
Is that when you realize like this is, because you said this is when things changed. Was that the moment when it changed, or was it right after Get Out? When was it like you knew like this is no going back a little bit as far as?
Probably the other day.
What happened the other week?
I was in Chicago rolling around. Like, can I just roll? Like, I just roll like one up, just going like posted. It was every other person was recognizing me, and I was like, what's happened? And, like, and then like, because usually things dip, and then like, and I was just like, this is permanent. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like, a lot of time when you're in that moment, you understand. Because I did skins back in the day, I understand that you're hot, so things are hot, and then it just quite cools down, and then like, so I felt it was cool. And people were like, yo. I'm like, yo. Like, and then, like, and then, so then, I think it was that stuff was, you kind of go, oh, I'm just in a random state. And I keep going to random states, and it's like every other person. Or jumping into Ubers, and I have to sit behind the driver. That's one thing I clocked, yeah? The answer's always in the box.
Yeah.
You go out of the box to look, anyway, so. But I sit behind the driver, because it was mad. And it was just like common. But I don't think people know my name. Like, I think they definitely don't know how to pronounce it. But they don't like, so it's kind of like, I don't know what their perception of me is. I think they've just seen my work. And then, so yeah, that's probably the time when, the last few weeks is when I was like, oh, this is pretty permanent.
Yeah, it's definitely permanent. It's weird that you realize that now, because I would figure like after everyone was running up to you, like talking about, you know, Wakanda forever for a year, you would have gotten it. But like, I'm glad to know that like on the street when people are like, Daniel, you're like, I'm good.
No, I just didn't. I don't see myself in that way. I just do my work. I do figure out what I'm doing, talk to people that I always talk to, and then I'm not really, again, I'm not on social media, so I'm not really engaging with my perception like that.
I think it goes back to the story that you told about meeting Denzel and that you were surprised that he knew who you were. Yeah. Like, I guess that's the best part about it, is staying humble with it. But the other thing, too, on the two movies, Get Out and Black Panther, they were in theaters and part of the conversation for like a full year. Because like both of them came out in February, and then both of them ended up being Oscar movies. So like you had like 2 straight years of people like loving the movies that you were about. I'm just wondering, was there any like interesting fan interactions like Denzel, where you were like surprised when somebody was like coming up to you loving either one of those films? Like, 'cause I know Oprah was fun for you too.
Oprah was mad. That was mad. I just hugged her differently. Trying to think. There's been so many, man. There's been so many where you're just very. I had it today. So my friend texted me, and Snoop Dogg posted Queen and Slim. That's mad. We were just texting. Remember Doggy Style? Like, we were just like Doggy Style. Like, he was like, And I don't, it's still mad. It's still like, I remember Nas posted it. It's just like, what? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, not Queensland, but he did Get Out. And I was like, I was like, this is, I think stuff like that, I still can't get my head around. Sorry, what was the question again? Sorry.
No, basically, yeah, you said one, like Snoop Dogg was a crazy interaction. Like, it would be awesome, like, you know, if you found out the Obamas were down with, like, he put Get Out on his, like, #1 movies for that year, yeah.
You have to, you know what it is? You know what's the most surreal? You meet these kind of crazy people. I had one the other day. I think you can't even say that. Like, I had a crazy one the other day. You'll see one. Like,
wait, you're not gonna tell us?
I met these two people, and it was just. But that's what it is. You realize that what's crazy about it is that you now know they are normal people. That is the wild thing. It's like these icons. You go, oh, you're a normal person with like doubts and like figuring stuff out, asking questions, and like you're able to, like I've just seen you as an icon my whole life, but now I am meeting you, and I have an opinion about who you are, just as a person you meet. That stuff is the stuff that's mad. And then okay, I tell you another reason, another moment when I realized my life changed. The other day, I was on the front page of Empire magazine. Nobody texted me. Not one soul texted me. I was like, what? Oh, it's expected.
Wow.
It's the normal stuff. It's that stuff that becomes, when it's like, there's like loads of, it's actually, the reason why there's loads of attention or loads of chatter or noise is because it's not normal.
Yeah.
And when it gets quiet, and you go, oh, wow, you think that's the thing?
I mean, somebody needed to text you, though. I would text my friend if I saw them on the cover of a magazine. I don't care how famous they are. Maybe it's the fact that you say you don't text people back, though. Maybe that's 100%. Why.
It's 100%. Everyone hates me.
When you did Get Out, a lot of people marveled on your accent and just like how incredible it was. I think it was a good year before people realized you were British. Like, it was a very Idris Elba moment for a lot of people when you started talking. But I know that's because like African-American culture in British culture, because of the way that like TV used to be over there, where there wasn't a lot of representation, like a lot of Brits consumed like American shows, like, you know, Martin and like you saying Key and Peele. So I was just wondering if you could maybe tell us what your like American shows that you were digging back then are, because like if anyone hasn't seen him in Skins, like you need to, because that is a very representational of British culture. So what were your versions of that here?
What did I watch as a kid?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm going to 100 right now. All right, cool. I watched Hang Time. I watched City Guys. I watched Different Strokes. I watched, what else? Sister.
Yes.
I watched Keenan and Kel. I watched My Wife and Kids. I loved My Wife and Kids with all my heart. My God, I love that show. Fresh Prince, Wayans. The Wayans, there was just two of them. They had a show on it.
Yeah, the Wayans brothers.
The middle ones, yeah? And then I watched that. And then I watched, obviously, all Melissa Joan Hart stuff. Like,
Clarissa Explains It All.
Come on, man.
Yes. I loved that show.
You know what I mean? Sabrina, my dog Salem. But that was a funny joke. I thought that was a funny joke. My dog Salem. I just realized that I said what I said. But if you watch Sabrina, you understand what I said. Yeah, man. But a lot of times it's like, if you want to see myself like a black face, that's what you watch. You just watch those kind of shows. We didn't really have a British version of that. We had like probably like Desmond's was a big show in England, and that's about it.
Well, you were involved in one too. I don't even know if you would call it like a coming of age story, but it was very like maybe even controversial. Shoot the Messenger, if you could talk about that film. So that was your first credit, because I think throughout your career, from Widows to Get Out and Queen and Slim, there's been this like through line of you like to take projects with a commentary, and that really, I guess, started with that because that was you.
It did, man. Like I think that doing that and Skins back to back really influenced what I thought I was supposed to do in this industry. Because they actually, and it's going to sound the original script for Shoot the Messenger was actually called Fuck Black People.
Really?
Yeah,
Give people a quick
it was
byline on
self-hate.
it. Yeah,
it's
give
about
a
self-hate. It's about black self-hate, and David Oyelowo was the lead, and it was about this guy who basically gets who's a teacher, and I played one of the kids who basically get him kicked. We accused of like physical abuse, and he gets kicked out, and he gets to a point where like everything bad that's happened to my life is it's because of black people. And he just navigates that. And then like within the black community in London and Britain, it was, obviously they changed the name to Shoot the Messenger, but like, it was like, what? This is crazy, this is da-da-da-da. And it was just navigating a lot of what a lot of people have internalized. It's not, like a racism disease, we haven't got the disease, but we feel the symptoms, you know what I'm saying? So it was navigating a lot of that stuff, and it created a debate. I remember there's like a station that's like, a local station that everyone used to listen to, Choice FM. There was a debate about it. I used to listen to that. It's like I played all the hip hop and R&B. There was a debate about this show. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just think, and then when Skins came out, it was like these 17, 16-year-olds who were playing 17 and 16-year-olds, and you were so used to 25, 28-year-olds playing younger that 17, 16-year-olds looked like 12. Like they looked 12. So they were doing all this crazy stuff, and it created a thing. And so I was like, oh, then that's what's supposed to happen. I just kind of felt like that's what you're supposed to go into the uncomfortable spots and just be honest. But Shoot the Messenger, from the face value, it sounds like really what's about self-hate. But you have to start the character in a space that's uncomfortable in order for them to go through that evolution, to show that you can go through that evolution too. Do you know what I'm saying? And go, well, then I should do that. Then I just kind of was like, then that's what I should do. So those kind of things resonated with me more. And then I probably, when I was auditioning back in the day, if I loved it, a different me showed up. Do you know what I'm saying? I went out for everything. I didn't get it. It's just not, it's not like I'm choosing. I end up, post Sicario, I started going, yo, I'm in charge of my career, I know what I'm doing. But back then I was broke, man, I need to get money. So I was like, yo, let me do what I think. But it just happened that the stuff that I got and I was drawn to were the more provocative subject matter. So,
do you think that was in any way shaped for you writing on Skins? Because that was the other thing about that show, is that they encouraged the actors to write on the episodes. Do you think that also sculpted it? Is that those were some of the first stories that you were literally writing for television?
Yeah, I mean, Jack Thorne, who wrote the Harry Potter play, he was in the Skins writing room. It was his first job. Lucy Kirkwood ended up being an amazing playwright. She was in the room. It was like the most cutting edge writers in London, England, and then I was reading that, so I was reading their stories and what they said, and even learning stuff. There was an episode of Skins where this kid who's a party guy, and he wakes up one morning and he sees an envelope. An envelope's got £1,000. Got £1,000. He's like, oh, cool. Looks around. His mum's not around. Goes upstairs. All his mum's clothes are gone. But he's got his grand. And then he spunks it. Do you know what I'm saying? Before the first ad break. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just and I remember they were always drumming home that's the perfect premise on a TV show, because it's just you just want to know what happens next. And not only do you want to know what happens next, he wastes the money. It's not like it lasts the whole episode. In 15 minutes, it's gone. So then what does he do now? Then he has to face the fact that his mum's gone. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So I would always go, well, I'm going to look for premises that are what happens next? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm going to look for that kind of stuff. What happened? It's why wouldn't you expect a film to have a quality that you of a story that you heard around the area? And you go, this person did this because of this. What? And then you went that's the whole point of storytelling. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what Skins taught me, being in that writer's room. And I probably absorbed it. I did. I was so young. And so I was very fortunate that I was able to do that and still be in normal school, but able to be see a window into that process.
Does that mean, because for those of you who don't know, Daniel just got a first look deal signed with Paramount Players for your production company, 59%. Yeah. Is that where you're going to go next with writing more stories? Because we haven't seen any bylines since Skin, and I'm sure we all would love to see some of your stories next. So.
Yeah. No, I do. I wanna make stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? And there's an element now where I took some time out and I realized not recently, but a few years ago, and I was like, oh, like, there's an element that my outer body is limited to your perception of me. Do you know what I'm saying? In terms of creativity. So, but it doesn't mean I want to tell this story. I want to go in this space. I want to find this out. I want to tell this. Do you know what I mean? So if I have that urge to do it, then I should go out there and see what I attract and see what we can make. And we've got some really cool stuff.
Is there any particular collaborator, like if you had a wish list right now that you would want to work with? You've done some really great ones already, and I know that you're currently about to do some new production meetups together. So anybody that you haven't worked with yet that you want to? Nobody yet?
I just don't think of it like that.
You don't think of it like that?
I try to lead with the idea.
Okay.
Try and lead with the idea, and because I think I learned that from experience. And there was a period of my life I was working with directors because they were famous. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I was like doing, and I was like, this is pretty unsatisfying, creatively. Do you know what I'm saying? I drank the Kool-Aid essentially. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, and then you're there, and it goes, all that's left is the idea and the character. That's all it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Their perception ain't gonna hold you when you're on the stage by yourself. So I've had to make really tough decisions by leading from that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of going, this is what I'm about. I wanna. A lot of times, it's special people plus special moments in their lives. So a lot of time is like the most interesting person is when the person's got a bomb. Really? They need to get back. They need to get back, or someone's trying to change their identity. Like Jordan had to change his identity. Everyone saw him as the sketch guy. He had to change his whole identity. Do you know what I'm saying? He's going to put everything in it. Do you know what I'm saying? Ryan had the whole black diaspora on his back, like everywhere. He had to represent a continent in a film. Like, what? Like, he had to make it happen. Do you know what I'm saying? So you see, Melina, I feel like she's been given this opportunity. She wants to show everyone what. It's just those moments. And then I would love to work with them all again because I do think they're special people. So, but it's always a universe of reasons why you do something.
No, that's actually a great way of putting it. Probably a better way to pick projects than to be like what you were saying and just going to various people, because I think it's like you said, it's about the story. So I will say this, something like Black Mirror, something like Widow, something like Get Out, like I said, there's this theme of commentary through all of them. And I think my next question is, I wonder if they all prepared you for the film that you're about to bring into theaters soon. So for those of you that haven't seen the trailer, let me just say that this cute meet cute goes in a very different direction soon after this. Basically, they get caught up in a police shooting, and they end up having to go on the run. And it is a provocative, I've seen it, yes, be jealous. It is a provocative, powerful, and completely amazing film. And I just want to talk about how you first got involved in it.
I actually met Lena at a screening for Get Out. It was a screening in LA, and then she was just there, and then I was like, and I'd read the pilot of The Shy a year before, and then I went up to her and I was like, I think you're really amazing. I think The Shy hadn't come out. I just said, I just try and do that. Like, if I think someone's amazing, I just say it. I try not to do that. I'm cool, man. Like, I just go, I think you're amazing. I think you're wicked. Like, that's it. And then, and we had a big conversation there. I spoke to her most of the night. And then she mentioned this. It's like, oof. I was like, you doing that idea sounds, I would read that. And if I go, I want to read that, usually, most of the time, an audience would want to watch that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if I go, because a lot of time you just do things because you're like, this is what people in the film industry do. We read these. But because I want to watch that. So, and then we sat down a few months later, and then she then spoke about the first 12 minutes. And then I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, like, can I read this? Please, 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 can I read this? And then she sent it to me next day. I read it the day after, and I just emailed her and said, I just wanted to be like, I was trying to go through this like cancelling out my Britishness. Because in Britain, like, you kind of do this thing where like, oh, I want to do this, but no worries if you like, no, it's really cool, like, whatever you want to do, you know, it's okay. I was just like, listen, I really want to do this. I want to do this. That's what I want. That's it. I'm not telling them you should do it. I want to do this. She's like, oh, that's really nice of you. And then I realized I was the first person to read it. So Melina hadn't read it, and so it was a first draft. Then Melina read it, goes, well, you're going to have to sit down with Melina. Melina wasn't too sure of me, sat down with Melina. And then like we kind of hit it off, and then she was like, "Oh, I see it." And then it took a few
I'm gonna be modest and intro. I did a conversation with Melina. She says, "Thank God for Lena, because I was not feeling Daniel for this role." And but she said she sat down with you for 5 minutes, and she looked up, and it was 5 hours, and you guys hadn't left where y'all were talking, and so you got her in that room, man.
Yeah, no, but you know what it is? It's like it was like I try not to convince. Like I'm not trying to trick you to get like. If you ain't feeling me, you ain't feeling me. That's cool, like, do you know what I'm saying?
Just like the diner.
It's like, it's cool, like, and then, like, if we click, then we click, do you know what I'm saying? And because I realized Reese, a few years back, I do want to do a role, but I want them to want me as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Because then a different you shows up and a different them shows up. If they feel like you've cornered them, then it's like, it's a weird creative space. So then, like, I was just being open and telling, this is what spoke to me. This is the experience I have with it. This is what it means to me. This is why I think it's really important. And then she was like, yeah. And then yeah. Kind of.
No, Melina was in my conversation. She talked about it. It wasn't. She just said like the minute he started talking, I realized that he was Slim, and then it was like I was already talking to him about what we were gonna do with the project. So she was like, I should make sure he understands that like he's doing it at this point. So she was just like the way she put it. She said she fell in love with you over those 5 hours. So
that's nice.
Yeah, it was a really sweet moment.
Melina.
I mean, and she comes from a different background because she was a music video director. For those of you who don't know, she directed Formation and a lot of different amazing music videos, but this was her first feature, and in it she's tackling some very powerful themes and some things that are going to make, like you said, a lot of people uncomfortable. But going into this like journey that you guys are about to have with this film, what are you looking forward to most people when they see this film discovering?
Ooh, in what sense? What do you mean?
Like, what are you hopeful that audiences will take away from it? What are you hoping that they key in on? What conversations do you hope it sparks?
I try to stay out of that. I think that's none of my business. I just think you should like, I genuinely believe if you want to own it, that's the biggest compliment. If you want to own it, you want to take it, you want to have conversations about it, you want to do this, that, the other. I don't think, what I find fascinating is what it reveals about you. I know my opinion about it. I know what I think about it. I know what it means to me. So it's kind of like, I very enjoy it. It's why another thing why I'm not on social media. Like, I want to step out of that conversation. It's the people need to talk. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole point. That's what's exciting. That's what I really enjoyed about, I don't know, if a new album dropped, you'd be like, nah, I like this one. I like that verse. It's that. People like that. Don't try and tell them what it is to spoil their fun. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, let them enjoy it. And the fact that they want to is a privilege. And so I want them to feel like they want to own it. But if they don't, then they don't. So.
Well, I have a feeling it's definitely going to have just people talking and honestly people just enjoying the film. It's in theaters November 27th and it premieres at the AFI Festival November 14th. So I can't wait for audiences to see it because, yeah, it's been on my mind since I first watched it. It's a really, really brilliant film, and you are amazing in it.
Thank you.
I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank SCAD and President Wallace for hosting this conversation, and congratulations. You're going to get your award tonight at 7 o'clock for the Spotlight Awards. So for those of you that want to catch that, head on over to the Trustees Theater. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you.